Okay, so mathematics paper 1, like I've been mentioning in our various dialogues, is all about formulas. If you are not good at formulas, you'll find mathematics paper 1 challenging. So you need to be good at formulas. You also need to be good at calculating without your calculator. And also finally, time management. Okay, the goal to passing this paper is ensuring that you cover all those, plus also in terms of time management, if you find a question difficult, or you know to say this one I can figure it out but it will take me some time, skip it. Okay, don't start fighting with a question when there are other simpler questions you can answer. So make sure ngakakosa you skip, go to the next one, kakosa you skip. Once you are done, you start going back for those ones you are skipping. So you keep iterating through the paper until you figure out those questions, until the time runs out. All right, so that is that about mathematics paper 2. So this is a revision. We are not learning, we are revising. Okay, so the tone will be different from when we are teaching. The time we are looking at those crash courses, that was the learning process. Now we are revising what we have covered. Okay, so this paper is coming through, it was written in August 10th 2022. Math paper 1 is 2 hours duration and it carries 80 marks. So your goal, if you want to get a distinction, your goal is at least to get above 60. Okay, above 60 for paper 1. All right, if you want to pass, above 40. Although here we just aim for distinctions. So 60 going up, in fact you can even say 65 going up, that should be your goal if you want to get a distinction. That means now you need to also balance with paper 2. Paper 2, section A, you have to answer everything. Section B, you have to answer at most 3.5 questions. Okay, so that's your target. So as you are revising to solve these question papers, don't use the actual time. The paper originally will be 2 hours, but when you are attempting to solve it, make sure you solve it under 2 hours. So maybe 1 hour 30, 1 hour 40 minutes, like that. Okay, so the first question says evaluate. Evaluate 5 to the power 3, 5 to the power 3 times 1 over 5 squared. Okay, so we can simply multiply, we can expand. Remember, Bodmer says you first need to work out the powers, right? So 5 to the power 3, what does it give us? It gives us 125 over 25 down here, because this will give us 25. Then you can say 25 times 1 here will give us 25. 125 times 1 there will give us 125. Okay, then if you don't know that 125 goes into this number, you can use a 5. You can say 5 into 5 is 5. 5 into 12, that is a 2, remainder a 1. Okay, remainder a 2 actually, not a 1, remainder a 2, making this one 25. 5 into 25 is 5. What are you going to remain with? 25 over 5. 5 into 25 goes there 5 times and you are done. Right, so that will be your final answer there. If you like, you can use the principles of multiplication. Remember those fractions where you are multiplying, you can simply say here there is the power 3. If 2 5s cancel 2 5s, what are you going to remain with? 1 5 here. So your final answer will just be what? 5. It's the same as 8 to the power 3 times 1 over a squared. We say if 2 a's cancel 2 a's there, what do you remain with? 1 there. The principle is just the same, except they just brought numbers. Okay, the next one, expand and simplify. When you have double brackets, the values inside the first bracket have to multiply with the values outside or in the other bracket. So meaning there we're going to say 2a times 3, again 2a times negative 4, then we go to 3 times 3a, again 3 times negative 4 there. That's how we're going to expand those brackets. So 2a times 3a, 2 times 3 is 6, a times a is a squared. 2a times negative 4 is negative 8a. 3, we're done with a. We now go to 3. 3 times 3a, that will give us positive 9a. Okay, positive times this negative here is negative. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, we look for like terms. Like terms, remember, have to have the same signs, the same variables, and these variables should have the same powers. So these two are like terms. Okay, they have the same variables and the variables have the same powers. When the signs are different, you pick the sign of the bigger number. So I'm just going to remain with a there, because 9 minus 8 is 1. So we're going to have 1a. When the coefficient of a variable is 1, you don't write it, so just write a. That would be your final answer there. You cannot simplify those any further than that. Okay, the next one is on a quadratic equation. So our 4x squared is equal to 9x. This type of a quadratic equation, you have to make sure you group the like terms. So remember, every quadratic equation needs to be equated to 0. So the 9 moves to the left side of the equal sign. It is positive, it has become negative, and then since it's a quadratic equation, we need to equate it to 0. So in case you're not sure that this is a quadratic equation, check the answer space. You see it says x is equal to dash or dash. Okay, by now we know to say when you see something like this, it simply means the examiner wants two answers. So that's how come you know to say this is a quadratic equation. Okay, once you get to this step, you just need to factorize. So what is common here? X is common. So you can say 4x squared divided by x, you get 4x. Okay, negative divided by positive, it gives you a negative. And then 9x divided by x will just give you a 9. And then you say equals to 0. Remember, when you're factorizing by grouping, there's a part where you say the values outside the bracket, you put them in one bracket, and then you pick one bracket. It's the same principle. Then at the end, you equate the brackets to 0, right? So we simply say the value outside the bracket, you equate it to 0, and the values inside the bracket, you also equate to 0. That's how you solve these types of quadratic equations, meaning x automatically will become 0. Then you say, oh, 4x minus 9 is equal to 0. Then you solve for x. Or 4x is equal to 0 plus 9. When the 9 crosses, it will become positive. Or 4x is equal to a 9. Then you can divide both sides by 4, like that, so that the 4's can cancel, meaning your x. So when you have an answer like this as an improper fraction, it is recommended that you convert it to a mixed fraction. So I'm going to say, oh, x is equal to, you can say 9 divided by 4, that is what? That is a 2, remainder a 1 over the same 4. So that will be your final value for x, and you are done. We come to question 4, which says shade A intersection B intersection C complement. Okay, in other words, they are simply asking us to shade. So A intersection B is this one. This is A intersection B. All right, now since it's in brackets, they are simply referring now to the entirety of this part. Okay, this is what they are asking us. So now they are saying A intersection B complement, so meaning we are supposed to remove what I have shaded. So we are only shading this part down here. All right, because there is the word complement, so meaning your final answer will just be there. That's what they are asking you to shade. Remember, the complement is applied to these values inside the brackets, so you don't have to shade any part that is overlapping with A intersection B. So this is your answer there. You know the drill. If you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can type in the chat, and then I'll give you an audience. Okay, factorize completely, very simple. This one, most of the times you may not even need to rearrange the values. So you have 2ab plus xy minus 2ay minus bx. Okay, the first thing, just check in the first two terms, do I have anything in common? Here there's nothing in common, right? So it simply means you need to rearrange the values. So it doesn't matter how you rearrange them, you still land at the same place with somebody else who has rearranged the values differently. So you've noticed to say this one here and this one, they have a 2a in common. So I'll group those together, and then I'll get the remaining one, which is this one, plus xy minus bx. You will now notice to say the x here is common. So once you just rearrange two of those values, the rest should also have something in common. Once you do that, the next step, you can put them in brackets. So 2ab minus 2ay, close bracket, open bracket, xy minus bx. Then you start factorizing. What is common there? 2a is common. So 2a divided by 2ab to just give us b. Negative divided by positive is negative. 2ay divided by 2a will just give us y. What is common there is positive x. Okay, so xy divided by x will give us y. Negative divided by positive is negative. Bx divided by x, b. Okay, so at this point you check, how am I doing? There's a b here, there's also a b there, there's a y there, there's also a y there. When the values are matching, it means you're in the right direction. At the end, just get the values outside the brackets, put them in one bracket, and then pick one of the brackets. So you're going to say 2a plus x as the values outside the brackets, and then simply pick one of the brackets, b minus y, and you are done. That is your final answer. We now come to this one, which says a company declares an annual dividend of 6%. The value of each share is 25 kwacha. Mr. Mapesha has 500 shares. Find his annual dividend. Okay, so to find the annual dividend, the first thing we need to do is first of all find out, okay, what is the value for these 100 shares. We're told to say one share is 25 kwacha. So we're going to say if one share is equal to 25 kwacha, how about 500 shares? What is it equal to? We say x, and then we're going to multiply. So 1 times x there, we are for going that way to just give us x. Okay, then 25 times 500, what do we get? Okay, 500 multiplied by 25, what are we going to get? So we're going to say 5 times 0, 0, 5 times 0, 0, 5 times 5, 25. 2 times 0, 0, times 0, 0, times 5, 0, 1, over 0, 0, 5, 2, 1. So 500 shares are worth 12,500. Okay, now to find the dividend, okay, the dividend of 6%, we are simply going to find 6% of 12,500. So what is the formula for finding percentage? It's basically the percentage you're trying to find over 100 times the amount, which is 12,500. Okay, then you can cancel the zeros there, meaning you're going to remain with 6 times 125. Okay, so what is 125 times 6? 6 times 5 is 30, remainder 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3, that's 15, remainder 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus that 1, 750. Okay, so meaning that is our final answer, and you are done. Okay, as simple as that. We now proceed to arithmetic progression. Remember where I was emphasizing that you need formulas. We have now reached one of the questions, which is a question on arithmetic progression. So arithmetic progression, you have a couple of formulas. Okay, finding the terms, the nth term, the arithmetic mean, sum of the terms, common difference. So make sure you know all those formulas in order for you to be ready for this question. Because if you don't know, imagine they bring a question that needs you to use the formula you don't know. You're gone. So I thought to say the sequence is 5, 12, 19. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's just find the common difference. We might need it. So I'm going to say d is equal to t2 minus t1, which is going to be d is equal to t2 is 12 minus t1, which is 5. So 12 minus 5, what is our common difference? Should be 7. Okay, so our common difference is a 7. Now, what is the question saying? Find the 6th term. So to find the 6th term, we need to plug in the common difference, the first term, and n in the formula. So the common difference we found was 7. So I'm going to say d is equal to 7. So I'm going to say tn is equal to a plus open bracket n minus 1 d. So we need n as well. N becomes 6 since they're asking us to find the 6th term. And then our a, the first term, is 5. Okay, plug in those values. And I'm going to say t, there's n there, so you need to plug in a 6 as a subscript. Our a is a 5, then plus open bracket 6 minus 1 close bracket. Our common difference was 7, so meaning t6 will be equal to 5 plus 6 minus 1 is 5 times 7 there, so T6 will be equal to 5 times 35, because 5 times 7 is 35, meaning finally T6 will be equal to 35 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, remainder 2. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2, 17. So we're going to have 175 as the sum, not really the sum, but the sixth term. Okay, let me just go through my work. The sixth term seems to be quite a bigger value. Yeah, so I made a mistake here. Instead of adding, I multiplied. So I was supposed to add here, meaning my final answer will just be a 40. So in AP, values increase at a smaller amount of some sort. So I have noticed to say here the first term is 15, 12, 19. So it was not making sense for me to find a very big value when I'm just like 3 terms away. So that's how I had to check my work. So now here's the thing: how do you prevent yourself from making such mistakes? It is possible you might make those mistakes. So the only safety is in making sure that you make time to go through your work. That's when you're going to identify those errors you make tomorrow. Okay, errors are inevitable. So with good time management, you will have enough time to go through your work and correct the errors. Make sure, no matter how simple the question looks, you can't afford to miss out on certain marks simply because you didn't check through your work. Alright, so make sure you make time to check through your work. At this point, as I'm revising, I may not have time to go through my work, so some errors I may make, I may not be able to spot them, which is why I need you to be paying particular attention. In case I miss somewhere, you are able to catch it and you hint me so that I can work on that. Finding the nth term, it's the same formula as finding the terms, except you say nth is equal to a plus open bracket n minus 1 d. So to find the nth term, all you need to plug in is a and the common difference. So I'm going to say nth is equal to, what is our a? Our first term is 5 plus n minus 1, the common difference was 7. So nth will be equal to 5 plus 7 times n will give us positive 7, n 7 times negative 1 will give us negative 7. We group the like terms, so nth will be equal to 5 minus 7 plus 7n. Okay, nth finally will be equal to negative 2. 5 minus 7 is 2 plus 7n. We are done, but it is however recommended that your final answer begins with a positive term. So that is why we have rearranged these values. The positive has come in front, the negative has gone behind. So please take note of that recommendation. Your final answers should by all means start with a positive term, and you are done. We proceed to earth geometry. So the question says the distance between town F and town G is 8,100 nautical miles. If a plane takes 18 hours to fly from F to G, find its average speed in knots. Okay, the formula for average speed is the same as the formula for speed. Okay, average speed and speed have the same formula. It is just distance over time, except for average speed we usually say the total distance over the total time. So it is one and the same. So they gave you distance as 8,100 nautical miles and the time as 18 hours. So there's nothing much to do here. Just say 8,100 divided by 18. So that is your average speed. Okay. So what do you get? You can simplify this one. Does 18 go into 81? We have no time to start using big values to reduce. Let us use 9. Okay. 9 into 8 is 2. 9 into 81 is 9. Okay. 2 into 2, 1. 2 into 9, that is a 4. Remainder, a 1. 2 into 10, that is a 5. So we are going to get 450. So meaning average speed will be equal to 450. So this is average speed. Speed is always measured in what? In knots. So you're going to say 450 knots and you are done. As simple as that. Next question. Town B is east of town A. When it is 11 hours at town B, it is 7 hours at town A. Find the difference in longitudes between the towns A and B. This one is very simple. All they want you to do is find the time difference and then convert it to degrees. So how do you find the time difference? You simply subtract the times, okay, the smaller one from the bigger one. So 11 hours minus 7 hours, what are you going to get? That should be like 4 hours, huh? 11 hours minus, so 11, 7, 9, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I was counting with my fingers. That is 4. So I know to say the time difference is what? TD is equal to 4 hours. Just subtract the times. Now they want you to convert this time to degrees. How do you do that? You're just going to use the time difference formula, which is theta over 15. So you already know to say TD is what? 4 hours. So instead of saying TD, you're going to plug in 4 hours, theta over 15. Okay? Then what are you going to do there? You're going to cross multiply. Okay? So 4 times 15 times 2 is 30, meaning 4 times 15, that will give us 60. So theta will be equal to 60 degrees, and you are done. Okay, we proceed to the next one. The next one is on matrices. Okay, find the transpose of the matrix. So what do we have to do here? That one is a very simple question. Those are free marks. You simply swap the rows with the columns. The rows become the columns. So our original matrix, matrix what? C, is equal to 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To find C transpose, we're going to swap the rows, become the columns. Okay, the column is 7, 1, 2. It becomes the row 7, 1, 2. The column here 3, 4, 5 becomes a row 3, 4, 5. You close, you are done. Okay, then when they ask you to express as a single matrix, they are simply asking you to multiply the two matrices. Okay, so they have given us matrix, the first matrix, which is not labeled. They've just given us the entries, and then they've also given us a second matrix. So all we have to do is multiply these two matrices. The first matrix multiplies with the second matrix. So the first one is 1, 8. The second one is a 2 by 2, which is 0, -1, 2, and 5. So remember, for matrices it is row by column. This row times that column, again that same row times that column. So the top number A, this one multiplies with that one multiplies with that one there. Same principle. So we're going to say 1 times 0, okay, 1 times 0, and then 8 times 2. So plus 8 times 2. So you only put a plus when you have more than one element in this row. If you didn't have an 8 here, there will be no need for you to put a plus. So you only put plus when you have two values inside the matrix in one row. So we are done multiplying with this column. We now come to the other column. So you leave some space here, proceed to the next column. So it's going to be 1 times -1. You can just express it like this: 1 times -1. Okay, then we say plus 8 times 5. 8 times 5, which is a 40. Allow me to just put a 40 there for the sake of space. 8 times 5 is 40. So meaning, what are we going to get? We're going to get 1 times 0 is 0, plus 8 times 2 is 16. Leave a space. 1 times -1 is -1, plus 40. So meaning our final answer will just be 16. Okay, 16 plus 39. Not really plus, but just 39. There's no need for us to indicate the sign. So that is your final answer there for the matrices. Okay, given that E is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, A is a set of prime numbers, B is a set of multiples of 3. List A union B complement. So we need to know what prime numbers are. Okay, so prime numbers are basically numbers, okay, which have two factors, 1 and itself. Okay, so meaning in the universal set, I hope you can see these values. In the universal set, the prime numbers we have are 2, okay, 3, 5, and 7. These are the only numbers which have only 2 factors. 1 can go into 2, 2 can go into 2. 1 can go into 3, 3 can go into 3. Okay, 5 can go into 5, 1 can go into 5. 7 can go into 7, 1 can go into 7. But if you come to 1, 1 only has 1 factor itself. If you come to 4, 4 has 3 factors, 1, 2, and 4 itself. 6 has 4, 1, 2, 3, and 6 itself. So you are looking for numbers which only have 2 factors, 1 and itself. So meaning the set for prime numbers, which is set A, will contain only 2, 3, 5, and 7. Those are prime numbers. When it comes to multiples of 3, which is set B, you're just looking for numbers which can be divided by 3, and the 3 should be able to go into that number exactly without leaving a remainder. Okay, so what numbers can 3 go into without leaving a remainder in this set? It can go into 3, it can go into 6, it can also go into 9. So meaning we are just going to have 3, 6, and 9. Those are your 2 sets, A and B. Now they're asking you to find A union B complement, meaning accept everything that has been listed here. Since it's A union B complement, meaning everything in A and everything in B except for these. So what numbers are these? Let us start shading them out. So we have a 2 there, we can cancel out the 2. We have a 3, we can cancel out the 3. We have a 5, cancel out the 5. We have a 7. Okay, when we go to prime numbers, a 3 is there, we've already cancelled the 3. There is a 6, we can cancel out the 6 as well, and then we also have a 9. So meaning A union B complement will therefore be equal to 1, 4, 8, and 10. That is going to be our set 1, 4, 8, and 10. That is going to be your A union B complement. So it is very important for you to know what prime numbers are, what multiples of a number are. That way you can easily get this question correct, because if you don't know what prime numbers are, you'll not be able to answer this question. So please, some of these are just requirements in mathematics, you just need to know them. So just take time to make sure that you know some of these things. Okay, we come to probability, where we're taught to say the probability of Kaskulu waking up late is 0.3. What is the probability that she will wake up early? In paper 1, to find the probability of an event happening, we simply subtract that probability from 1. Okay, the probability that this event will take place is 1 over 3. What is the probability that it won't take place? You just say 1 minus 1 over 3. That will give you the probability that it won't take place. This is the probability that the event will take place. The answer you find there will be the probability that it won't take place. So now we're told to say the probability that this Kaskulu will wake up late is 0.3. Okay, what is the probability that he will wake up early? So all you have to do is just say 1 minus 0.3. So when you're subtracting decimals, you have to make sure that the whole numbers are in the same line. What are the whole numbers you have there? You have 1 and 0. Okay, 0.3. So meaning we also put 0.0 there, and then you subtract. Okay, 3 minus 0 minus 3, it can't. You get a 1 from there, remain with a 0. You have a 10 there. 3 minus 7, 3 minus 10, 10 minus 3 is 7. Okay, 0 minus 0 is 0. So the probability that this Kasukulu will wake up late is 0.7. Okay, remember probability is always out of 1. So that's how come we're subtracting that value from 1. We now go to an interesting question: area of a sector. Again, we need to know the formula for finding the area of a sector, which is area is equal to pi over 360 pi r squared. Not 2 pi r squared, but just pi r squared. Area is equal to theta over 360 pi r squared. Okay, so in order for us to solve this question, we need to know what the area is. If it's not given, then you need to know what the theta and the radius are. So area has been given as 24 over 24.2. The radius has been given as 6 centimeters. Pi has been given as 22 over 7. What else? That's all. They are now asking us to find the theta. So we simply plug in those values into our formula. So we're going to say 24.2 is equal to theta over 360 times 22 over 7 times 6 times 6. So remember what I said in paper 1 for this question, only multiply when you know what you are doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you end up getting big values which you fail to simplify afterwards, because this question gets locked up. So what have I done? I know to say, like I mentioned, only multiply when you know what you're doing. So I know to say 6 times 6 is 36, and I have 360 down here, meaning 360 divided by 36 will give me a 10. So that is why I've multiplied 6 times 6 there, so that I can simply say 36 there is a 1. Okay, 36 there will be a 1. You bring down the 0, it becomes a 10. So meaning the final answer will be, not really the final answer, but the next step will look like this: theta over 10 times 22 over 7. So you can now say 2 there, 11, 2 there will give you a 5. At that point, you now notice to say I cannot reduce any further than this. So what are you going to do? You're going to group the like terms. So it's 24.2 is equal to theta over a 5 times 11 over 7. So I'm going to say over 1, and then I cross multiply, meaning it will be 24.2 times 5 times 7 is equal to theta times 11. Okay, the values up there, and then you have those values there. So we are going to, before we multiply, we're going to divide both sides by 11. Okay, by 11. Remember, 11 is a magic number. It reduces weird looking numbers. So I can see there that 11 will go into 22 without leaving a remainder. So let's do it that way. So I have 11 here, we have 24.2. 11 into 22 into 24 goes there 2 times, that's 22. Remember what? Remember a 2. So we put a point there. 11 into 22 just goes there 2 times. So we have 2.2 up there times 5 times 7. Okay, if you want, actually we can even multiply these values, which is going to be 5 times 7, that is 35. So I have a 35 here is equal to theta. So we said 11 there 1, 11 there 2.2. So now what is 2.2 times 7 times 35? So let's multiply. Remember, the whole numbers are supposed to be in the same line. So we're going to say 35 times 2.2, and there's a 0.0 there. Okay, to align the decimals. We are now multiplying. So 2 times 0 is 2. 2 times 10 is 10. My mind always races to the answer. 2 times 5 is 10. Remember, 1. 2 times 3, 9. Plus that 1, we have a 10 there. 2 times 0, that is a 0. 2 times 5, that is a 0. Remember 1 again. It's a 10. Remember 1. 2 times 3, that is wait a minute, I think I'm tired. I didn't sleep much tonight. I was revising with someone. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 5 is 10. Remember, a 1. 2 times 6 is 6. Plus that 1 there, it gives us a 7. Okay. 2 times 0, 0. 2 times 5, 10. Remember 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus that 1, 7. Yes. So meaning 700 now. So 0, 0, 7, 7. Okay, now what you have as your final answer is 7700. You need to figure out how many decimal points does this one have. So simply count 1, 2. So meaning you're going to have 2, 1, 2. So you're going to have 77.00, which is the same as 77. So meaning theta will be equal to 77 degrees, and you are done. Okay, so as you are contemplating studying the whole night, if you're intending to do that. Make sure you have figured out yourself to say, if I study up to this time, I'll still be functional, even if I don't have enough rest. Okay, case of me right now making errors. Alright, I did not have enough rest and I've had a busy day. Palasti, wrong much. That's how the brain works. So make sure you have enough rest according to what you can manage to do. Okay, because by the way, at 21 hours we are going to have another revision which will run up to 01. So it will just be 4 hours. Then at 01 people can sleep. They wake up at 6 or 5 hours depending on how far the place you are writing from is. Make sure you're not late. That can be inconveniencing. Okay, we now come to the next one. Functions. Simple questions as well. Okay, given that f of x is equal to x minus 4 and h of x is 2x plus 3, find h inverse of x. So there, what is the function name? It is h, meaning you're going to get h of x. You get h of x is equal to 2x plus 3. To find the inverse of any function, we said you replace the original function name with y. So y is equal to 2x plus 3. And then you make x a subject. So meaning the 2 and the 3 need to move from the right to the left of the equal sign. So we start with moving the 3. So y minus 3 is equal to 2x. Divide both sides by 2. Both sides by 2. Cancel there. So then the next step, you're going to swap x and y. So I'm going to say x minus 3 over a 2 is equal to y. Why there was y, I've put an x. Why there is x, I put a y. Therefore, h inverse of x is equal to what you're from finding, which is x minus 3 over 2. Okay, next question, they are saying find h inverse of 5, meaning you get this same inverse. While there is x, you put 5. So h inverse of 5 will be equal to 5 minus 3 over 2. While there is x, we put a 5. So 5 minus 3 will give us a 2 over 2. 5 minus 3 is 2 over 2 down here. 2 divided by 2, there I find answer will just be a 1. And you are done. We now go to the composite function. So a composite function is when you have another function embedded into another function. So let us go ahead and look at the composite function. So they are asking us to find h f of x. What does that mean? Get the function h. In the function h, while there is x, put the function f. So the function h is this one. So here, while there is x, we are plugging in this function. So meaning it's going to be h in brackets, not h, but 2. Then in brackets, we're going to put x minus 4, close bracket. Was b in the function of... okay, I've not seen the question. Let me just check. No, it was in the function of h, because at first we found h inverse of x, then they asked us to find h inverse of 5. So meaning the same answer we found as h inverse of x, where there is x, plug in a 5 and then solve. So this is the h inverse of x we found up here. It was x minus 3 over a 2. Here where there is x, we plugged in a 5 and then we solved. That's how come we landed at 1 as our final answer. Clear? Okay, great. All right, so we now say, we said we are trying to find the composite function h f of x. So we get the function h, okay, which is this function. In the function h, while there is x here, we are plugging in the function of what? F. So we got the function of h. Initially the function of h is 2x plus 3. So here where there is x, we're supposed to plug in the function of what? Of f there. So meaning it's going to be 2 in brackets x minus 4. Then remember there's that value remaining there, so plus 3. That's what we're going to do. So 2 in brackets x minus 4, close, plus 3. So h f of x will be equal to 2 times x there is 2x, 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, plus a 3, which is going to give us 2x. Negative 8 plus 3, that will give us negative 5, right? And you are done. Okay, you have earned yourself your 4 marks there. We proceed to coordinate geometry. So under coordinate geometry, there are a lot of questions. So they ask you to find the gradient, they ask you to find the equation of a straight line, they ask you to find the equation of parallel lines, perpendicular lines, midpoint. So you don't know what they will bring, but the fact is that they will bring 2 questions from the topic coordinate geometry. As you can see, this is question 1 and this is question 2. So here it's gradient on top, down here it's length. Yeah, they can also ask you to find the length. Okay, so what is the question asking us to find? They're saying a line passes through the coordinates negative 2, a, negative 2, 5, and b, 0, y. Given that the gradient of the line is negative 3, find the coordinates of b. This one is very simple. Just capture your coordinates, negative 2, 5, close, open, 0, y. Assign them values. So this will be x1, y1, x2, y2. What is your gradient? You're going to say gradient was given the question as negative 3. Then you're going to use the formula for the gradient, which is going to be y2 minus y1, everything over x2 minus x1. Okay, so gradient you already have. Instead of saying m, I'll put negative 3. What is y2? y2 is y there, so I'll say y minus y1 is 5. I'll put 5 there, over x2 is 0, so I'll say 0 minus x1 is negative 2, so I'll say negative 2. Then I simplify, negative 3 will be equal to y minus 5 over 0 plus 2, because negative times negative there will give us a positive. Ultimately, what are you going to have? You're going to remain with negative 3 is equal to y minus 5 over a 3, not a 3 but a 2. Okay, 0 plus 2 is a 2. Then we're going to say over 1 cross multiply. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, which is equal to y minus a 5. When you group the like terms, it's going to be negative 6 plus 5 is equal to y. This negative 5, when it crosses the equal sign, it becomes a positive. Here, what are you going to get? Negative 1 as your value of what? Of y, and you are done. As simple as that. I hope that is clear. Remember, if you have a question, you can raise your hand or simply post in the chat. Just a moment. Just give me a moment. Okay, we'll proceed to the next question, which is on distance. So remember what I said, mathematics paper 1 is all about formulas. If you don't know formulas, you can't pass mathematics paper 1. As you can see, we're about to look at a question on distance, which is the same as length under coordinate geometry. If you don't know that formula, you can't answer this question. I wish we had time. I was going to simply ask someone to say, okay, what is the formula for finding distance? But we don't have time. Let me just do everything myself. So the formula for finding distance or length is square root of x1, okay? Is that plus or minus? Somebody tell me. Is it x1 plus x2 close bracket or x1 minus? Is it minus or plus? It's x2, right? X2 minus x1 squared, then we say plus. Correct. So kamena kama ruvyanya waba karuvyanya chabe ka formula twaenda tuma max. y2 minus y1 squared, don't forget the squared and the root there. So meaning distance will be equal to, you get your coordinates. The coordinates are 2, -3 and 7, 9. You plug them somewhere. 2, -3 and 7, 9. Then you assign x1, y1. Doesn't matter how you do it, you find the same answer. x2, y2. Then according to your assignment, you plug in the values. What is x2? x2 is 7. So I'm going to say 7 minus x1 is 2. 7 minus 2, close bracket, squared, plus, open bracket, y2. y2 is what? 9. So I'm going to say 9 minus y1, that is -3. So you say -3, you close like that, and then you also close with the square like that. And then there's a root up here. Alright, once you do that, solve, and you find your distance or length rather. So distance will be equal to the square root of 7 minus 2 there will give us a 5. 5 squared give us 25. This will give us 9 plus 3, because negative times negative is a positive. So there's a squared here, there's also supposed to be a squared there. Okay, so distance will be equal to the square root of 5 squared is 25. Okay, plus 9 plus 3, what does that give us? Is that 12? What is the square root of 12? Is it 144? 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times that is 2. Okay, 12, yeah, 144. So I have 144. When you add there, what are you going to get? 5 there will give us 9, 2 there will give us a 6. So you get 169. 169, does it have a square root? What's the square root of 169? Let's try 13. Okay, 13 times 13, what do you get? 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. That is a 961. Okay, so the square root of 169 is 13, meaning your answer is 13 units. The SI unit for distance or length is just units. Make sure you include it. Okay, and you are done. As simple as that. We come to the next one, dy dx. I said whenever you see dy dx, just know that this is differentiation. Okay, no questions about it. And just see dy dx, this is differentiation. Find the derivative, that is differentiation. Okay, here find the integral, find or integrate, or the symbol, you know it's integration. So given that y is equal to 4x cubed minus 3x squared plus 5x. Okay, find dy dx. So we replace y with dy over dx, and then now to differentiate we multiply the power of x with the coefficient of x. So I'm going to say 3 times the 4 there, giving us a 12, x the power 3 minus 1. Right, we take away 1 when we are differentiating. Next one, the power of x is 2 times the coefficient of x, which is a -3, to give us -6, x the power 2 minus a 1. Differentiating x. Okay, when x doesn't have a power, to differentiate it, the x disappears. Okay, so meaning we're just going to remain with a 5. Why does it disappear? To differentiate x, we're going to say 1 minus 1, right? 1 times 5 is 5, minus 1 will give us 5x to the power 0. Any value raised to the power of 0 is what? 1, meaning 1 times 5 is 5. So whenever you're differentiating x, just know that it disappears. Whenever you're differentiating a constant, it disappears. So finally, what is going to be our answer? We're going to say dy over dx is equal to 12x squared minus 6x plus a 5. 2 marks. You are gone. Okay, We go to the next one. Very, very interesting topic. So the key to answering this question is knowing the theorems. Apa peve, there's nothing I can explain. In case you don't know the theorems, you just be hearing Chinese. It is important for you to know the theorems. That is a key to being able to answer this question. Usually the first two questions are very simple. That is why they have, I think, 1 mark each. The last part of the question is the one that is a bit tricky. Alright, so let us start. The first one, they're asking us to find angle BAC. Okay, the angle here. This angle right there. Angle BAC. So according to the theorems, angles subtended from the same chord are equal at the circumference. Meaning, if this one here is 22 at the circumference, meaning even this one at the circumference would be what? Like a 22. So there's a 22 there as well. They are coming from the same points. You can see this one is coming from B ending at C. Even the other one coming from B ending at C. So meaning here we also have 22 degrees. Like that. So BAC is simple. It's just 22 degrees. We go to the next one. Angle CBD. So CBD, this angle right there. How are we going to find that angle there? We're going to say, that one is simple. We can use the property that says, so where is the diameter? It's important for us to identify the diameter. The center is O. BD is a diameter. So this line here is a diameter. Okay. Remember we said the angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. So meaning this angle here is twice the angle at the what? Circumference. So if this is 180 degrees, meaning here we're going to have what? 90 degrees. Okay. The other theorem is that when you have a triangle whose base is the diameter, at the circumference you're going to have a right angle. So even this triangle up here, angle ABD, this one, you can see that BD is a diameter. So meaning up here we're going to have a right angle. So meaning the total there is 90 degrees. There's this triangle here again. Okay, the base is passing through the center. So meaning we have 90 degrees there. So if this is 90 here, we can use the properties of a triangle to find this angle at B here. By simply saying 90 plus 22, the answer we find we subtract from 180 to give us the answer for that one. So 90 plus 22, what do you get? Going to say 2 there, 11. So I have 112 degrees, and then we subtract that from 180 to find us, to help us find the angle we're looking for. So 112 will be equal to, get a 1 from there, 7, 10, 8, 6. So meaning the angle at CBD is 68 degrees. We now come to ACO. ACO. So A is there, C is there, O. This angle here. How can we find that angle there? Alright, let us see. Okay, so we can use the properties of a triangle. Okay, when you find this whole angle here, we can find this angle up here. Why? Another property says when you have a chord that links to the center, it becomes an isosceles triangle. So this small triangle here is an isosceles triangle. So if this is 22, this will also be 22. Just like this isosceles triangle is also, this one is also an isosceles triangle. Meaning, if the total, we say this in this triangle, at the circumference is supposed to have a 90 degrees angle here. So you have part of the angle here. They've told you to say this one is 68, 22. Meaning the remaining part is what? 68. This one here is 68. So, since this is, as you can see, these symbols, they are telling us to say that's an isosceles triangle, meaning those sides are equal, these sides are also going to be equal. So what are you going to do? You're going to say x plus 68. The angle here, the entirety of the angle is x, and there we also have an x plus 68 is equal to 180. So remember, Cherry, you had asked such a question last time. So it only applies when you're dealing with an isosceles triangle. So I'm going to say x plus x is 2x. We group the like terms, 180 minus 68. So 2x will be equal to 180 minus 68. That should be, is it 112? Yeah, 112. Then divide both sides by 2. By 2, cancel there. X will be equal to 2 into 12, that is 5. 2 into 11, that's 5, remainder 1. 2 into 12, that is 6 degrees. Okay, so meaning the total angle here is 56. Now the angle you're looking for is just this small one. Okay, but you've been told to say this smaller one here is 22, this one. So simply say 56 minus this 22 to give you that small angle there. So 56 minus 22, 6 minus 2 is a 4, 5 minus 2 is a 3. So the angle you are looking for, SEO, is just 34 degrees. You have your 4 marks there. So like I mentioned, if you don't know the theorems, you can't understand this question. It is important for you to know the theorems. Some of these answers, you'll just be seeing them. You look, oh, so here that theorem applies. Simply means we can do this and do that. Otherwise, this one is different from the other questions. If you don't know the theorems, you can't solve it. So please make sure you revisit the theorems in case you have forgotten them. Okay, because if this is the first time you are getting exposed to this question, in order for me to answer a question you may have, I'll need to start teaching you the theorems first. So there's a theorem that states this. We can apply it here. There's a theorem that states this. So if you don't know the theorems, this question will be a bit difficult for you to understand. Okay, we come to variation. We're told to say y varies directly as x and inversely as the square of z. Okay, and y is equal to 8 when x is equal to 4 and z is equal to 1. Find the value of k. The first thing when you're dealing with variation is come up with a formula. So you go back to the description. They are saying y. You write your y. Varies, you write equals, you add a k. Okay, as what? As x. You write your x. And inversely, you underline as the square of z. Square of z means z squared. It is different from when they say the square root. Square root is this one. The square of z is that one. So don't make a mistake. Don't mix them up. Okay, now they're asking us to find the constant variation, which is k. To find k, we are going to use these values they gave us in the question. Okay, where there's y, we put 8. Where there's x, we put 4. Where there's z, we put 1. So meaning it's going to be y is 8, which is equal to k times x. They are saying x is 4 over z is 1 times 1, or 1 squared if you like. So meaning you're going to say 8 is equal to k times 4 over a 1. Okay, cross multiply there, it will just give you 8 times, if you want you can multiply, not times but equals. You can say over 1, cross multiply. 8 times 1 is 8, k times 4 is 4k. Then you divide both sides by 4, like that. The 4s will cancel there, meaning your k is equal to a 2. Once you have found the value of k, you can now go back to your formula and then replace k. Substitute k for the value you have found. So we found value of k as 2, so I'll simply put a 2 there. So that is the equation or the formula I'm going to use for the rest of the question. So the first question, they are saying find the value of y when x is 9 and z is 3. So first thing first, you write your formula, 2x over z squared. The value of y, that's what I asked to find, when x is equal to 9. So 2 times 9 over z is equal to 3. So 3, there I can just say 3 squared, because I know to say 3 squared will give me a 9. Then I'll reduce those values. So it will be 2 times 9 over 9. Okay, so y is equal to a 2, because 9 and 9 will cancel there. Last one, they are saying find the values. What did I say? It means when they say values, you have to find two answers. Obviously, you need to find the squared value. Okay, so the formula is y is equal to 2x over z squared. Obviously, they'll be asking us to find z. Find the values of what? Z, when y is equal to 3 and x is to 54. Is equal to 54. So y is equal to 3, 2 and x is equal to 54 over z squared. So we're going to say over 1 cross multiply to give us 3. Z squared is equal to 2 times 5 4. We're not multiplying, we're just moving around the values. 3. We group the like terms again by moving the 3 to the other side. So meaning you're just going to win Z squared is equal to 3 into 54. Does 3 go into 54? We try. Okay, 3 into 5 is 1 and 2. 3 into 24, that should be 8. Okay, so I have 18 there. Are we sure? Okay, yes, it's 18 times 2. That's how come we're going to have a 36. So there's a 2 there. 2 times 18. Because we're saying 3 there, 1. 3 into 54 is 18. We have a 2 there, so 2 times 18, that will give us 36. Then you cross multiply. Okay, that one cancels. So Z is equal to, remember they said values. So I'm going to give them a positive value and a negative value. And that will be your final answer. If there are any questions, you know the drill. You can ask or you can raise your hands. Then I'll be able to give you an audience. We are done. We go to indicial or exponential equations. When the equation is on the power side, it simply means those are exponential equations. So the question says, solve the equation x to the power 1 over 3 is equal to 9. Alright, so we're trying to find the value of x here. How do we do that? Just the way, if it was like this, x squared is equal to 9. How are you going to move this power to the other side? You're going to square root both sides. So when you have a fraction as a power, what you do is you're going to multiply with its reciprocal. Okay, 3 times 3 over 1. What you do on the left, you also do on the right. 3 over 1. Okay, that's what you're multiplying with, right? That is how you do it. So meaning here we're going to say x is equal to 3, and the 3 will cancel, just mean with x. So now what is 9 to the power of 3? What's going to happen? So 9 times 9 is 81, and then 81 times 9, what do you get? 81 times 9, because that's going to be 9 to the power 3. 9 times 9, 81. 81 times 9. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 8, that is should be 70. Is it 72? 81 minus 9. Okay, get one from there. We have 7, 11. Yeah, that's 72. So I have 72. So meaning s will just be 720, 729, and you are done. Okay, we come to the next one. In the answer space below is an incomplete flowchart for calculating the height. So flowchart in paper 1 requires that you know some formulas. So here, this is just a formula for finding the height of a cylinder. Okay, so the formula for finding volume, we can simply extract that formula from the formula of finding volume of a cylinder. So the formula for finding volume of a cylinder is as follows. The formula is volume is equal to pi r squared times height. That is the formula for finding the volume of a cylinder. Now they're asking us to say in the answer space below is an incomplete flowchart for calculating height. So meaning in this formula you need to make height the subject of the formula. So how do you make height the subject? You simply divide both sides by pi r squared. Pi r squared. So that the pi and the pi can cancel, the r squared and the r squared can cancel. Therefore, the formula for height will be equal to v over pi r squared. Okay, so now what are they asking us to do? They are saying, given in the answer space below is an incomplete flowchart for calculating height of a cylinder given its volume V and radius R. Complete the flowchart. So according to flowchart, what is our height formula? Let's just write it here. It says height is equal to V over pi R squared. So what do you need to plug in? The first one is usually entering values, right? So I'm going to say enter. What are we entering? We're entering height. Okay, no, not height. We're entering volume. We're calculating for height, right? So I'm entering V and radius. And then here we are going to write the formula, which is going to be height is equal to, okay, capital V. Remember I said division is a forward slash. Okay, at stroke kumarege forward slash. Now this is V divided by this term. If you say V forward slash pi R squared, it simply means it's going to divide only by pi, but you are supposed to treat this one as a whole term, so you need to put them in brackets. So we're going to say pi R squared in brackets like that. That tells you to say it is V divided by pi R squared. Alright, so that will be your formula there. And then what are you printing? That printing height. So that's all you needed to plug in order for you to earn your 2 marks, and you are done. Alright, as simple as that. We now come to inequalities. So for inequalities, we are winding up. I know we need to rest before we attend the 21 hours revision again, so let's just wind up, then you can rest. Make sure you are well rested. Make sure you are well rested. It's pointless for you not to rest now. Then you come at 21 and you won't be understanding anything. You'll be wasting your time. Right? So I don't want to hold people online for a long time. They may fail to write tomorrow. So today's revision will go only up to 01. We'll start at 21, end at 01, so that people can sleep from 01 to even like 05 or 06 or something, depending on where they are writing from. Okay, so when it comes to finding like figuring out the inequalities, the easiest lines are vertical lines and horizontal lines. Okay, so for example, here we have this line here which is passing at 7,7. So meaning here it's 7. Since the x coordinate is 7 there, it's also 7 there. It's a vertical line, so it's passing at 7. So all you have to do, what type of a line is it? It's an x line because it is cutting through the x-axis. So you're just going to say inequality number 1 is x is equal to what? 7, because it's passing at what? 7, or in other words, it's cutting through the x-axis at 7. Then now you need to figure out the appropriate symbol. So when it comes to inequalities, there are only 2 types of lines. We have what we call broken lines. These are represented by less than or greater than, and then solid line are represented by less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Oops, moved more than I intended. Okay, like that, greater than or equal to. So what I now need to check is what type of a line am I dealing with. So if you look at this line, it's a broken line. So if it's broken, meaning it's either one of these symbols, depending on which part is shaded. So if you look at this one, the shaded region is heading this side, the wanted region is heading this side, heading towards what? The negative. So it's the lesser region. So I'm going to say x less than 7. That is your first inequality. Okay, we go to the next inequality. What is it saying? The next inequality. Okay, so for diagonal ones, the first thing is you need to find the gradient. Once you find the gradient, you find the equation of a straight line, and then you will plug in the appropriate symbol. So we need to collect coordinates on this same line from 2 points. So for this line here, we can collect there 7,7 and 1,1 here. So those are coordinates 7,7 and 1,1. So I can say this is x2, y2, x1, y1. Then I'll say gradient is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I set the values up nicely. I know it's just going to be 7 minus 1, 7 minus 1. So 7 minus 1 over 7 minus 1. giving us 6 over 6, which is equal to a 1. So the gradient there is just a 1. Now that we have found the gradient, we can use the x1 coordinates and the gradient to find the equation of a straight line. So you can use this formula, y is equal to mx plus c, if you like, or you can use that other formula, which is what I like using. Y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. So we say y minus y1 is 1 there. So y minus 1 is equal to gradient is 1, open bracket, x minus, okay, x1 is 1 as well. So y minus 1 is equal to 1 times x is x, 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. So y is equal to x minus 1 plus 1. Alright, what does that give us? It's going to give us y is equal to x, because negative 1 plus 1 is a 0. So y is equal to 0. Then now we check. Remember, I gave you a tip last time when we were revising to say there is that inequality that passes right at the center. Okay, it passes at the origin, and it cuts the graph paper diagonally into half. The one I said has identical coordinates. So you know to say this one is, we can see there it says 1,1, here it's 7,7. So this type of inequality is just say y is equal to x. That is a shortcut. Okay, like you have seen here, the y-intercept is always a 0. Okay, remember the c is just your y-intercept in the equation y is equal to mx plus c. So meaning it's just y is equal to x, because the gradient is also always 0. So whenever you see this type of inequality, whether in Earth geometry, in paper 1 or paper 2 linear programming, you know to say it is like that. So now we just need to check which part is shaded. Downwards is going towards the negatives, upwards towards the positives. So it's the wanted region is towards the lesser part. So meaning you're just going to say y less than or equal to, since it's a solid line, x. That will be your inequality, and you are done. We proceed to the next one, which is as the coordinates 1,1 and 7,3. 1,1 and 7,3. Okay, y2, y1. Okay, so we're going to say gradient m is equal to, what is y2? Y2 is 3, so we're going to say 3 minus 1, because y1 is 1 there, over x2 is 7, so 7 minus 1. So gradient will be equal to 3 minus 2 is a 3 minus 1 is a 2, 7 minus 1 is a 6. So we can say 2 there, 1, 2 there, 3. So your gradient is 1 over 3. Having found the gradient, you can now use the x1 coordinates and the gradient. So again, I'll go back to my formula. Y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. Y, what is my y1? My y1, I put 1, is equal to gradient 1 over 3, open bracket, x minus x1. Instead of saying x1, we're going to say 1, because the y coordinate, the x coordinate is 1. So I'm going to say y minus 1 is equal to 1 times x is 1 over 3x. Okay, 1 times negative 1 over 3. We group the like terms. We're going to say y is equal to 1 over 3x minus 1 over 3 plus 1. There, you come up with a common denominator. We're now going to say y, actually we can come up with a common denominator there, 1, 1, 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, 1 times 1, 1, bring down that sign. 3 divided by 1 is 3, 3 times 1, 3. meaning we're going to say y is equal to 1 over 3 x plus 1, not really plus 1, we can add there. 1 plus 3 is 4, so we're going to say plus 4 over 3, and you are done. Okay, 5 marks there. We now come to the diagram shows the sketch of the graph. Y is equal to 3 minus 2x minus x squared. Find the coordinates of A and C. Remember we said all coordinates that sit on the x-axis, their y coordinate is 0. So we need to say the y coordinate for A and C is 0. So how do you find the x coordinates? We solve the quadratic equation. So the equation of the graph, we're going to solve it as a quadratic equation, which is 3 minus x squared minus x minus 2x, actually here 2x minus x squared. Okay, then I said we need to rearrange like that, minus 2x plus 3. I did mention to say it is not recommended to solve a quadratic equation when the first term is a negative. So we are going to divide throughout by -1 to change the sign of the first term to a positive or -1, so that the signs can cancel here. It becomes x squared minus plus actually 2x, because negative divided by negative is a positive, then that will give us -3 is equal to 0. Now it means the standard or the recommended format where the first term is a positive. Once you do that, you now need to come up with a product, the sum, and the factors. So what is our product? To find the product, we are going to say A times C, which is going to be 1 times -3, giving us -3. The sum is +2. Okay, to find the factors easily, list the factors of the product. The product is 3, so the factors are just 1 and 3. And then make sure that the biggest number has the same sign as the sum, so it's a positive. Okay, then you start testing. 1 times 3, what does it give us? Does it give us -3? No, it gives us +3, meaning this guy has to change so that we have a negative outcome. So -1 times 3 will give us positive -3, I mean. And then -1 plus 3 will give us +2. -1 plus 3, +2 there. -1 times 3, -3. So we have confirmed to say those are the coordinates we're looking for. What do we do next? We get x together with its coefficient, the first term. So if there's no coefficient greater than 1, you just write x, and then you start picking these factors. In one bracket you put the first one, close, open. In the other bracket you put the second one, then you equate to 0. Then you're going to say x1 is equal to 0, or x plus 3 is equal to 0. So x will be equal to 1, or x will be equal to -3. Okay, this 3 is positive. When it crosses to the other side, it will become a negative. 0 minus 3 is a 3, -3. The x is a negative. When it crosses to the other side, it will become a positive. So the coordinates we have 1, -3. So now let us see how we're going to apply them. So meaning the C is in the positive region, the A is on the negative region. So meaning your A will be equal to -3 over 0, and then your C will be equal to +1 over 0. 1, 0, not 1 over 0, but 1, 0. So those are your coordinates. To find the turning point, the process is the same. First, find the x coordinate. Once you find the x coordinate, plug it into your equation for the graph, and then solve for x. That will be your y coordinate. So they are saying find the turning point of the graph. We need to give them two coordinates, the x coordinate and the y coordinate. So first things first, how do you find the x coordinate? We are going to get the original equation for the curve. And before we do, let's find x. So there are two formulas. You can say x is equal to -b over 2a, or you can say x is equal to x1 plus x2 over 2. So this is the one I'm going to use. Okay, it's much simpler. X will be equal to x1 plus x2, everything over 2. So where are you going to get these values, x1 and x2? Remember that quadratic equation we solved? Those two x coordinates, those are x1 and x2. So we had x is equal to 1 plus negative 3, everything over 2. So x will be equal to what do you get there? We're going to get 1 minus 3 over 2, giving us negative 2 over 2, giving us negative 1. Okay, 1 minus 3 is a 2, negative 2 over 2, negative 1. So now that we have found our x coordinate, we are going to get the original function or equation for the graph. Where there is x, we plug in negative 1, and then we solve for y. So we are going to say y is equal to 3 minus 2x minus x squared. So y is equal to 3 minus 2 in brackets. We plug in the value for x, which is negative 1, close, minus negative 1 squared. Okay. Once you do that, you simplify, you find the value for x, for y rather. So it's going to be 3, negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. Negative times negative is positive 1. Okay, 1 squared is just 1. Okay, meaning y will be equal to 3 plus 2, that's 5, plus 1, that is 6. So TP will be equal to, open brackets, the x coordinate was negative 1, y coordinate has turned out to be that one. And as you can see, the y coordinate, you are just finding the top part of this curve. The y coordinate is in the positive region, just there. So you can even confirm with your answers. If you found a negative 1 there, you need to worry. Okay, that is that, and you are done. We now go to the last question. Find that is a speed time graph. So the question says the diagram, the following diagram is a speed time graph of a car. Calculate the acceleration of the car during the first 5 seconds. Find the value of t given that the total distance traveled was 550. Calculate the average speed for the whole journey. Okay, quite an interesting one. So acceleration, the formula is simple. Acceleration is equal to velocity minus that over time, where v is the initial, is the final velocity, and u is the initial velocity. So acceleration in the first 5 seconds, the car started from rest, then it rose up to the speed of 20 meters per second. So I'm going to say acceleration is equal to, what is the final? The final is where the journey is ending from, at 5 seconds. So here, what is the speed at this point? Okay, we check that side, it's showing an 8. So we are going to say 8, not 8, but 20. So 20 minus 0, the initial is the starting speed right there at 0, over time. What is the time? They said first 5 seconds, so I have a 5 there. So your acceleration becomes 20 divided by 5, giving you 4 meters per second squared. Remember, acceleration is always meters per second squared. We now come to B. Find the value of t given that the total distance traveled was 550. So for this type of equation, they'll give you a hint on what you actually need to use to find the equation. So there they have given us the total distance traveled was 550. Okay, that is the total distance traveled. So how can you find the value of t? So there are several ways we can do this. Let us see. We're going to use the formula of a trapezium. Okay, which is, let's see, so the formula for trapezium is distance is equal to a plus b over 2 times height. It's the same as 1 over 2 open brackets a plus b times height. It's the same. So now we need a. Okay, so for a trapezium, a is the shorter length, b is the longer length. It doesn't really matter which one you start with as your a or your b, you still find the same answer. And then this is your height. So a is the distance from there to there. Where are you checking from? From down here. So we're going to say 25 minus 5. A becomes 20 plus B is the total distance from there to there. So T minus 0 will just give you a T. Okay, and then over height. What is height? Height is the distance from there to there, which we check on the axis for speed, which is a 20. Then we say over a 2. So if you want, you can say 2 there 1, 2 into 20, 10. Then you're going to say distance will be equal to, open brackets, 20 plus h plus 10 times 10. So distance will be equal to 10 times 20, that is 200. Okay. Oh, no, I forgot something. We already have distance, so we need to plug in distance. How have I figured out that I forgot something? You notice here 10 times h is going to give us 10h. Now, where are these values going to go? So we've been given distance as 550 meters. So here where we have distance, I need to plug in 550, since we already have 550 as our distance. Okay, so meaning even here we have 550, so that we can now group the like terms. So it's going to be 550 minus 200. Okay, this 200, when it moves to the other side, that's what's going to happen. So 550 there. So when you group the like terms, allow me to correct my writing. 200 is equal to, is equal to 10h. Okay, so this positive 200 moved to the left, it became a negative. What does it give us? 350. 350 minus 200 is 350. On the right we have 10h, 10 height, so we divide both sides by height. So meaning it's going to be 350 is equal to 10 times height over height, no, over 10. Come on, over 10. So divide both sides by 10, cancel the values there, cancel the zeros, so meaning height is equal to 35 meters per second. Okay, right, wait a minute, are we finding height or t? Why did I change it to muntu arema zona achinja from height kufaka po t nakuyachokera. This is t in the brackets, so meaning here it's 10t, not height. And the height yachoka kuti sakira time muntu afunga kupumula. yeah, this is t. Okay, so this is time, so since it's time, it's just seconds. So meaning the t at the end there will give you 35. And then if you want to test, this is 35. If you want to test, you can simply use the same formula for finding distance of a trapezium, which is going to be a plus b over 2 times height. So distance will be equal to, what is your a? We found a as what, 20, and then b ndiye tachokopeza up manja manje. Okay, b we found 35 over a 2 there in brackets times the height we found as 20. So we can say distance will be equal to 2 there 1, 2 into 20 is 10, so 20 plus 35 will give us 55. Okay, in brackets here 20 plus 35 will give us 55. Okay, we did 2 there 1, 2 into 20, 10. We have a 10 outside. 55 times 10 will give us 550, which is what they give us in the question here, 550, meaning you have confirmed that what you have done is correct. Then what are they saying? Find the average speed for the whole journey. I did mention that average speed has the same formula as speed. It is basically just the total distance td over the total time taken. So average speed will be equal to, what is the total distance? Total distance was given already, it's 550. So we're going to say 550. Total time taken is the one you're from finding, 35. Now we need to reduce these values. So we can say average speed be equal to, so we can say 5 into 35, that is 7. 5 into 5, 1. 5 into 5, 1. You add a 0, so we're going to have 1, 1, 0 over 7. Average speed will be equal to 7 into 11 is 1. Remainder a 4, right? Yeah, remainder a 4. 7 into 40, it goes here 5 times. That is 35, remainder 5. Okay, so 7 into 5, it can't, you put a point. 7 into 50 goes there 7 times because it goes into 49. Remainder what? Remainder a 1. 7 into 1, it can't, you add a 0. 7 into 10 becomes a 1. So average speed be equal to 15.7 meters per second. And you are done. Having answered all these, you would be in the ranges of 60 something, 65, 68, somewhere there, 66. These questions that we have answered, okay, which is very fair for paper 2. 65, 66 out of 80, meaning wakangwa kuchetu 14. So it's about being strategically, like I always say. Now is not a time for you to start experimenting, trying to learn new things. No, you don't have that time. So please focus on your targeted questions and make sure you become so good at them that whatever question you switch to, whatever question paper you switch to, you are able to answer all the questions on that topic. Yeah, so otherwise that is that. Please go and rest as I do the same. At 21 hours, we are going to reconvene and continue solving up to 01. So otherwise that is that. Thank you for your time. I'll see you at 21 hours.